We spend so much time in cognition. It's like we're walking around decapitated because all we acknowledge is our head. 20% of the brain runs the body. 80% of the communication comes from the body to the brain. Up in the brain, it's causing you to breathe, your heart's beating. This is where you think. But all of your life experiences are stored in your body. When we can pay attention to what anger feels like, what happy feels like, they're not stored up here, they're stored down here. Anger feels way more powerful than grief. This is a beautiful memory, but I can't even go back and visit them because they're not here. Now it's peppered a little bit. Not that you're consciously aware of that because you're thinking of that beautiful tree and the memories and the presents, but there's also a part of you that knows, oh, that's not real for me today. Most of us are either in fight or flight. We're either fighting and aggressive or mad and angry, or we're trying to bolt and get out of it and avoid the discomfort of the conflict. That anger and frustration is a more powerful feeling than vulnerability.
Welcome once again, everyone, to the Audacious Faith Podcast. Do you have the audacity to believe that God put you on this earth to do more than just to exist, but to make a huge difference in the world around you? If so, then you've come to the right place, and I'm looking forward to another great episode today. You know what makes it easy, though? It makes it easy when you have a great guest, and we'd have one today. So excited to talk with her. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Kristy Deys, a certified professional leadership coach, speaker, and founder of Powerfully Peaceful Coaching. She helps high-performing women break free from stress, self-doubt, and burnout so that they can lead with greater confidence, peace, and purpose. She has more than 20 years of leadership experience in human resources, and Kristy understands the unique pressures women face in both their careers and personal lives. She believes true confidence doesn't come from doing more, it comes from trusting yourself and leading from your strengths. So through her coaching, Kristy helps women transform overwhelm into clarity, fear into self-trust, and pressure into calm, confident leadership. So please join us in welcoming Kristy Deys. Thank you so much, Kristy, for being with us today. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great, and I'm just so excited to meet with you and talk with you today.
It's going to be a great time. So I want to learn more about you. I know our audience, some might be familiar with you, and maybe that's why they're watching, but a lot of people maybe have not. So here you are, you're working especially with transforming some women's lives into the people that God wants them to be, getting their confidence back, all of this. How did that even start? And how did that start for you? I mean, where's your journey of faith that even got you in that arena to begin with?
Well, it's been a journey. We'll just say that. So I did grow up in church. I love the Lord with all of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a few little twisty turns along the way. So life has definitely been a bit of a journey. My second husband and he ended up finding himself in recovery. And as part of that experience, I don't know, I want to say it was he's not like fast get on the bus and go kind of person. It took a little bit, but I would say, probably a year into it, he's like, I want to pursue a spiritual path. Would you go to church with me? And I had previously, but had kind of gotten away from that. And so anyway, we ended up finding a church locally. It was wonderful. We helped create a Celebrate Recovery program with the pastoral staff there. And so that was sort of our journey into what God was putting on our heart and where he was calling us. Simultaneously, I was working in corporate America. And the thing I loved about my job was the people. So I had the privilege, time is ticking away, but I want to say about 8 years ago, to become the leader of a new group within our department. So I got to stand it up from the ground up, which is like a massive privilege, right? Usually in leadership, we're inheriting the team, but I got to build it from the ground up. So I got to really select the people. We inherited a few, but I got to basically select the team. And that was like absolute highlight. But I didn't necessarily love all the corporate dynamics and the pressure and the stress and the unrealistic expectations. And so when circumstances worked out with COVID, Phil and I said, why don't we leave the Bay Area and like go find our retirement place early? We weren't retiring yet. It was just like, let's transition to what we really want. And so we did. We moved from the Bay Area out to Sonora. But that absolutely created a different financial picture for us. And it took him, he went back to school because he lost his job at Yelp due to the COVID, and, restaurants were closed. Therefore, Yelp was not producing the income they were used to.
Yeah.
And so he went back to school and finished his degree. And then a couple years later, the market opened up and he was able to get a job, which then afforded me the ability to retire early. So I got to leave at 55 and then start my own business. And so now I get to do what I actually really love, and that's the coaching piece. And I don't have all the corporate that goes with it. But because I understand all those dynamics, I'm able to really support my clients in their journey. But I get to 100% focus on them. So it's pretty fantastic.
That sounds awesome. So, I love some of what you're saying, especially being able to focus. And I know that's part of your platform. Let's be able to focus on that which we do best, where our strengths are, and all that. Now, I noticed what you said, and I think this is worth noting, that most people that are doing great things for God, it wasn't necessarily smooth sailing all the way through. You mentioned how, early on you had that. You had that experience, but you kind of came away from it. I seem to hear that way more. Very rarely do I hear the story, oh yeah, I just loved the Lord from the time I was 5, never had a problem, never strayed away. Um, why do you think this seems to be par for the course? Any thought on that? How did that play, that kind of, what do I want to say? Straying
Mhm.
away. How did
Yeah.
that maybe cause you now to be more passionate than you would have been?
Oh, that's such a great question. Um, I'm noticing inside, I'm like, oh, but I wish I had been that kid at 5 that stayed on the straight and narrow. Like
Right.
there's pieces of my journey. It's just like, ugh, why did I do that? Right. But I think honestly, so for me, my first marriage ended and I didn't want it to. My husband at the time just we had been having troubles and struggles, and he just said, I don't know why I married you. I don't love you. I
Mm,
was pretty devastating.
that would be
And
devastating. Yeah.
so the church we were going to at the time, um, the pastoral staff were very like, Kristy, you just need to pray more. And we were having struggles. And what happens is if you have any sort of trauma in your past, our nervous systems then have a difficult time navigating crisis in the present because we just bring all of our history with us. And so when I was in this distress place, I was the one showing up angry, upset.
Hmm.
I looked unreasonable, but people didn't understand what was going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And so then it's like you just need to pray more, you need to have a better attitude. And all of this stuff was happening, and it was honestly meant with the best intention. And when I look back on it, the advice wasn't bad. It was good advice. I wish I had followed it.
Hmm.
But I was so distressed. Then it's like, well, this didn't work out the way I wanted, and I don't feel supported. And so the hurt that I had kind of compounded with the wounds I had from childhood,
Right.
not necessarily from the church. I actually had a really great youth group. I had great friendships in youth group. I was very fortunate with honestly, that's probably why I stayed more on the straight and narrow than veered off because I
Sure.
had such a great community in high school.
Hmm.
But I was unprepared for the disappointments that life brings. And didn't have my roots deep enough in my walk with the Lord. And I believed in him and I had faith, but unintentionally, I was very much in performance. The fruits of the Spirit, I'm supposed to be loving, I'll act loving.
Mm,
I'm supposed to have joy, I'll act like I have joy. And I tried to manufacture it thinking I was being a good Christian
yeah.
without fully realizing, no, that's the outpouring of God's Spirit in us. When we're connected to him, it's his love that comes out. It's his goodness. It's his joy and delight, not me making it happen.
Right.
So because it was more shallow when things fell apart, then what do we do when we're hurt? We blame other people for hurting us. So it's the church's fault I'm so upset.
Hmm.
And so I don't want to go to church anymore.
Right.
So I didn't lose faith in God. I've never felt like God doesn't exist. I just felt like when I was hurting the most, I wasn't welcome. And it's interesting because Casting Crowns has a song that talks about the shadows of the steeple. Like we've got all these people that are hurting. It
Right.
just makes me bawl my eyes out every time I hear it
Yeah.
because not knowing what I know today,
Hmm.
trying to be performative, how many people did I overlook and not see and stamp you need to clean up your act and be this way instead of like, oh, come sit with me, you're hurting. My experience in life has altered how I treat people and the way I see people.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I'm a better person for what I went through.
Hmm.
But Jay, I did not think that when I was going through it. I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit, and that's my journey. I'm not saying that's why everybody experiences that, but that was definitely the situation for me.
You just dropped a ton of nuggets right there, a ton of great things. And I want to try to unpack some of what you just said because it's so important, a lot of the things that you packed. First observation, your experience. And I've seen this, and I've made this mistake. I've been a pastor now almost 40 years. Okay, so despite my youthful appearance,
You must
and
have started when you were two.
you know, just a little bit older than that. Add 17 years to that, but yes. Um, and I will tell you that I've probably been guilty of it, but then, like you, I have experienced sometimes on the other side where, like you mentioned, a lot of the answers that you were being given were not necessarily wrong, but it was the way it was coming to you. That was part of the problem. There's times when, we're so good at giving the Christian answers,
Yes.
the biblical text answers, the textbook answers. Sometimes we already know those answers. Like you probably already knew a lot of that, but what you needed was a friend. Yeah, you needed somebody to actually care and go, for you to be able to be honest enough to say, I understand I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I'm hurting right now. And somebody to just say, I'm just here for you instead of lecturing you, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And I will also share when I was in high school, I was in Bible quiz. So I memorized books of the Bible, not
Mm.
just chapters. We memorized books. I went to Bible college.
Yeah.
So this is part of the challenge too. You're Christian, you're the solid leader. How do you share your falling apart?
True. That's very
It's,
difficult. Yeah.
and then people aren't there for you in the same way. And here's what's really tricky that I've since learned in part of my coaching and some of the classes that I've taken. The thing that I find so fascinating is our nervous system is really communicating more than the words.
Hmm.
And so when you say people want to give the pat answer or the church answer, the Christian answer, the biblical answer, it's so funny and not funny. haha, but interesting. I was in a Bible study a couple years ago, and I had been steeped in recovery world for many, many, many years. And in recovery, there's no crosstalk. You don't rush up to people afterwards to fix them. When I first went to these recovery meetings, I thought, this is the stupidest thing ever. How is me talking for 3 minutes and nobody trying to fix me going to help me?
Mm.
Like, where's the advice? Where's the help? Where's the thing? And it took me a long time to realize the power of being witnessed. And it's like what you were saying. I need a friend. I just
Right.
need to be, I have the answer.
Right.
I just need to share my feelings.
Mhm.
Well, fast forward, I go to a Bible study. Now, Bible studies are not recovery. They don't have the same ground rules. They don't have the same thing. But when people were hurting, out came the scriptures, out came the help, out came the advice. And none of that is wrong. Don't get me wrong. That's
Right.
not wrong. But I found myself going, well, just let the person breathe. Like, whoa, why are we rushing to fix an answer?
Mhm.
Let's just sit with the person and see
Right.
them. That doesn't mean we don't encourage and offer suggestions, but first we need to sit and just let the person have that moment to exhale and realize, wow, I was just really vulnerable.
Yeah. I think one of the more extreme examples that's coming to my mind when you're saying this right now on how we do this. Let's say someone loses a loved one,
Yeah.
okay? And maybe they've been married 45 years, or something like that, and all these type of things. And they're hurting. There's an emptiness that just can't be explained except for what you're feeling, right, at that particular moment. And so you come along and it's like, well, you're going to see them again, right? I mean, yeah, they already know that.
Yes.
Obviously, they know that, but it doesn't change the fact that you feel so missing them at that particular moment. So often we
Yes.
can know the answer, but it doesn't take the emotion out of it. And sometimes
Right.
people don't need to just, don't tell me what I already know. I already know that. It
Yes.
doesn't change the fact of how I'm feeling because I'm human, right?
Yes. Yes. And talking about grief and the passing of a loved one,
Hmm.
oftentimes when you haven't lost a loved one in that same capacity, you don't know what to say. Like it's
Right.
so like you want to say something, but you don't know what to say. And so then these things come out of our mouth and we think we're being really helpful. But I find experience
Mm.
when we've walked that same journey, boy, we show up differently
Yeah.
because we have the experience they have and
Mm.
we're able to just sit with them. We
Yeah.
see them on church on Sunday and we sit with them, right? We
Yeah.
just make them comfortable. Just talk to them. Let them talk about our loved one. And the tricky thing about grief is it doesn't have an expiration date.
No.
And then we're like, 2 years later, why aren't you over it? This happens too with women that miscarry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're grieving their baby. And then people are like, it wasn't even born. Like they don't mean to be insensitive. They're just being logical.
Right.
But that doesn't meet the need of the heart.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is a big one that we're touching on. Really,
Yeah.
sometimes the best answer, if you're saying people don't know what to say. So I'm thinking, and I've learned this the hard way. I've said things like, "Oh, I understand," and they're like, "No, you don't." And then you realize you don't. And then, it's like, wait a minute, watch what you say. So sometimes, I mean, when we don't know what to say, I would think the better thing to say is, you know what? I wish there was something I could do to make you feel better right now. I unfortunately don't have that. So I just want you to know I care and I'm here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And another little back pocket cheater phrase
Okay.
is just to say, it really makes sense that you miss them.
Hmm.
Makes sense that you're hurting. It's a way to validate without saying, I understand. That's what we're trying to do when we say, I understand.
Right, right.
But but it also sort of takes it off the person and puts it back on us.
Hmm.
Where if we just keep the conversation with the person, oh gosh, that makes sense. I
Hmm.
so wish I could take that pain away. And
Right.
What can I do for you?
Yeah.
The other trick is don't ask, how are you, unless you're willing to stand there and listen.
Yeah.
We rush by, how are you? We're expecting the fine, and then we keep going when they're not fine.
And you're right. Don't
And
ask that question because sometimes we're looking at, like, I didn't really want to know. I was just being, and that's,
truth.
yeah, you know. So, I mean, yeah, don't ask if you don't want to know, right? And be prepared. You touched
Yeah.
on a couple other things very, very important. You touched on the fact that some of the things you went through now enable you to be able to help. If it was all smooth, what would you have to offer, really? I mean, so this is how God kind of works it together, right? We can't understand you. We're just touching on this now. A person, for instance, who hasn't lost someone that special isn't really going to get it until they have.
Until they have.
Yeah.
It's very true.
And then the other thing you brought up, which I don't want to miss and don't want to go, you talked about the fruits of the Spirit. And I remember in Bible college years ago, I wasn't saved very long, and they're talking about the Holy Spirit, and they're talking about all that. That was one of the most confusing subjects in the world to me back at that point. But you hit this so well. The fruit of the Spirit is not self-discipline and self-improvement. I'm going to be more loving. Oh, it says be loving. Okay, starting today, I'm going to be more loving. It says to have more joy. All right, starting today, bring it on. I'm joyful, and more peace, whatever. The reason they call it a fruit of the Spirit is because it's not self-manufactured.
We can't do it.
Right, yeah. So you brought that out really, really well. It's when all of a sudden, like for example, we talked about losing a loved one. When did I become more empathetic and really understand and got there better as a pastor for people in the hospital and things like that? After I was losing my own mom in the hospital and people showed up for me. That's when I
And
realized.
how much it meant to you that they
Yeah,
took time.
exactly. It meant
Yeah.
everything.
Meant
And I
everything.
had no idea. And I felt so convicted at that moment. It's like, oh my gosh, now I get
All
it.
the people I didn't show up for, right?
Yeah, now I get it.
Yeah.
It's not until you're there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my mom, that was actually 20 years ago, we just realized yesterday. But the reality is I mean, I lost her, a mother-in-law that was like a second mom to me, and my dad all in the course of 4.5 years, just back to
Wow.
back. Terrible time. But at the
Terrible
same,
time.
yeah, but at the same time, before that, I didn't get it, you know?
Understood. Yeah,
Yeah.
you couldn't because you hadn't gone through it
Yeah,
to the
everything
same
was good.
extent.
I had everybody, everything was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So,
I want to highlight something you said too, because this is something I've been, I won't say struggling with, but wrestling with maybe is a little bit of it. And you talked about the fruit of the spirit and, love, right? And I mean, and as I've shared, I've been in church. I mean, I was practically born on the front pew. So I've been in church my whole life. And in the Gospels, Jesus talks about love your neighbor as yourself, right? And it's like, okay, check, got it. But then he goes on to say, love your enemy. It's if you love the person you like, you're no different than the, I'll call them heathens for sake of whatever. I can't remember the exact scripture. I don't have it memorized.
right.
But it's that idea of you're no different than the person that doesn't believe.
Hmm.
Demonstrate your love by loving your enemy. Look, you turn the other cheek, give them the coat off your back, right? And honestly, that has been so hard for me my whole life because, again, it's from this performative, you're irritating me and I have to love you, grin and bear it.
Hmm.
But one of the things I've really been figuring out lately is, oh, that's a fruit of the spirit.
Yeah.
So the more I'm connected in to God, then it's his love pouring through me. This isn't something I can do on my own. I also hold the belief I cannot forgive on my own.
Right.
I can only forgive because of his grace and mercy for me. And he shows me how. but it's not something I can do on my own. And so these things he teaches us aren't for us to be disciplined and self-improving ourselves necessarily. It's to tap into him.
Right.
And let him move through us. So it's different journey than how I read these things when I was younger.
Sure.
Because it was like marching orders. Let's go make it happen.
Right. And probably the epitome of that, when you look at the list of the fruits of the Spirit, is that one, what is that one? Self-control. It's like how, talk about a paradoxical type of
Yes.
situation. The reality is the fruit of the Spirit, when all of a sudden you have self-control and you know that you normally would not. So this person's driving you crazy and they've done all these horrible things to you. And the fact that you're finding a way to pray for them and not go off on them is an amazing testimony of the fact that the Spirit must be doing something in your life, because otherwise, I mean, it would not be
Couldn't do
that
it.
way, right?
Right.
I was
Right.
sharing this example recently of going down the freeway, and this guy comes. I guess I wasn't driving fast enough for him or something. So this guy comes up, pulls to the left of me real quick, and he honks the horn and proceeds to signal to me about how I am the number one driver on the highway. I mean, he signaled me that. He said, "You're number one, buddy." And that's and
With his middle finger, right?
yes, exactly, exactly. And in the past, I will tell you that in the past was my weakness is on the road. That's my weakness right there.
Many of us.
Yeah, I would have been like, "Oh no, you didn't," and I would have chased this guy down, and I would have taken as long as I needed to take to get up to him so that I could pull aside him and give him a signal saying, "No, buddy, you're number one. All right,
Yes.
you're the
Yes.
number one driver." But instead, honestly, I just started laughing.
I love your honesty.
Yeah, I just started laughing, and I thought to myself, how
Yeah.
sad you must be having such a horrible day and having such a horrible time in your life that you're
Right.
so angry that you got nothing better to do than to be signaling me angry on the highway. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be mad at you. I'm going to be praying for you. I don't even know who you are, but I
Yeah.
pray that whatever is wrong with you right now, you'll find some peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that's the power of not taking it personally.
yeah.
Because whether it's a stranger on the road or someone in church or someone at work or
Mhm.
someone under your own roof, people show up in our lives and we don't like it and we take it personally,
Now
right?
you just mentioned that. Now that's true. Now, but what about when it is personal? And when it comes from people that you would consider even in the family of God or people that are close to you, giving you those pat answers or in some way, I mean, think
Yeah.
about someone like Job, extreme example, but I
Sure.
mean, all of a sudden things are going wrong and these well-meaning people are coming along and saying, "Yeah, it's got to be you.
Yeah.
What did you do?
What did you do?
You just need to pray more. You need to have more faith. You need to get your act together. Maybe you should just curse God and die." That was from his wife, of all people.
Of all
Uh,
people.
yeah, and yet at the end, not only did everything he lost was restored, but even more so after he went through a lot.
Yes.
But so, what do you tell people, Kristy? What do you tell people when you're getting wounded by friendly fire?
Mm. So honestly, this is a lot of the work I do
Mhm.
with my clients. And um, because I lay the foundation of the nervous system with them. So this is really what's running everything in our life. We don't realize it.
Okay.
So this is actually a little fun fact. When I was growing up in church, I would often hear the scripture quoted, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made."
Yeah.
And I would sit there and go, really? Because I don't like this on my nose and I don't like this and I don't like that. So I'm kind of picking apart the physical aspects,
Right.
right? But when I learned about my nervous system, our nervous systems, I was like, holy moly, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So the way God has designed us, the way our body works, the way our system works, it's it's going into a room before you ever go in a room. Like it is always running the show. It's not your thoughts, although Our thoughts do create feelings that do create action and results. But we're so fixated on mindset work. I just need to be more disciplined. I need to have a more positive attitude. I need these affirmations. And trust me, all of that is beneficial within its spot.
Mm-hmm.
But when we don't understand the nervous system, then we don't understand what's really happening to us and what's happening to the other person. And so what I do with my clients is I teach them resilience. I teach them an understanding of what's happening inside, why they get hijacked up, why they plummet low, how to build a larger container of resilience, which really is about being present. It's about being in the moment, being in the present, not worrying about the past, not worrying about the future, being right here, right now. And in that space, when people come up and give us advice, it's their nervous system. There's something about them that's uncomfortable with the situation, and they feel like they need to fix it. They feel like they need to offer up their opinion. They feel like they're right, so they're going to come in and be more aggressive. Or we have the people that shy away and withhold, right? They kind of put those shutters down and then they disappear and you can't find them. It's all biology. It's working. We are working and operating the way as we are designed. But the challenge is it doesn't serve us well. Like when we're running on autopilot from these places, that's where miscommunication happens. That's where problems exist. But when we're able to understand what's going on inside, it's so amazing, Jay. We start to hold space for people. And then just like you ended up laughing at the driver, just not at him, but in yourself, like, woo, right, buddy. So I'm glad I don't have to lay my head on my pillow next to you tonight.
Yeah.
Woo, that was a lot. Same goes when well-meaning people come. We honestly start to have more grace to realize like, oh, something's going on with them. And it becomes less about, why are you saying that to me or that? And look, people say things and it hurts. I'm not saying that we numb or ignore our feelings. It's very important to process them. But this I found really fascinating. Feelings are meant to pass through us in 8 seconds or less. And when I first learned that, I was like, well, not in this body. I'm like a pinball machine.
Hold on to it. Yeah.
Like the ball never drops out.
Yeah.
It's banging around inside. And when I started to learn to pay attention and notice, now it's a signal. Now I'm not wounded. I'm not absorbing it. I'm not taking it personally. Now it's a signal of like, ooh, something just happened. What's going on? Oh, okay. Don't really appreciate that, but I get to choose what I take and what I leave. Right. And so then the self-control, it puts us more in a space to manage our inner world than being so fixated at how, Susie did me wrong song. Sorry for the Susies that are listening. But our inclination is to blame people for making us upset. And we just end up having all this discord versus like, oh, they don't realize they're not aware of what they're doing. They don't realize that wasn't appreciated or not appropriate or that hurt. And if we have a relationship with them, we can have a conversation about it.
Right.
But not always. Like, not every battle is worth fighting. Right. So that's my 2 cents, actually probably a quarter on that thought.
For those of you listening, I hope you just caught that last sentence. Not every battle is worth fighting. Some people, unfortunately, and if you're one of them, I'm sorry. I'm just telling you as gently as possible. You don't have to fight everyone. Some of them really, you would be better off not to fight and just let it go. Yeah, but that's a hard lesson to learn for a lot of people. You mentioned something, Kristy, so important. You talked about living in the moment, taking in the moment.
Yeah.
Wow, I found that so hard for so long. And yeah.
I still do.
Yeah,
it's
tough,
not easy.
Right? And this is the thing. A moment is how long? It's a moment, right? And it's never going to come back and it's never going to be again. And yet often we miss everything because we're still we've got things that are not happening now that are still completely affecting us. All the past stuff that's carrying, or
100%.
yeah, or we're worrying about what's going to be next, what's going to be in the
Yes.
future, a preferred time, whatever. And so I cannot even, so much regret, really. I cannot even comprehend how many moments I really didn't live in. I was there
Yes.
physically.
Yes.
And then maybe you deal with this as well. I mean, I've gone to the doctor for high blood pressure, all types of different things like that. And they'll ask me what to me seems like dumb questions. It'll be something like, well, have you been carrying a lot of stress? It seems like your body's under a lot of stress. And honestly, when they asked me that, I was like, I don't think so. But I've started to wonder about the fact maybe that's just my perpetual state, so I'm used to it. I don't know. And to me, it's not stress, but obviously something's going on. So, maybe I'm always thinking about something. Some people that just kind of just like chill and they're just, oh, whatever, whatever. I can't necessarily, I'm not necessarily flustered by everybody's nonsense, but to me, it's like there's always something happening.
Always.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe I am constantly under stress. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and it's interesting because some of us are emotionally stressed out.
uh-huh.
Some of us are physically, like our schedules might just be more demanding where we don't have that opportunity to really reset,
Right.
let some of that tension go
Yeah.
and come back into ourselves. So stress can show up in different ways,
Okay.
but it will tell you over our lifetime, it starts to compound.
Mm.
And it builds up and it builds up and if it doesn't have a release, if we're not really intentional about it, then it starts to build up and then it shows up in our health later on because we're just swimming in all of this cortisol. Now, for some people, it might not be as stressful. There might be other reasons that are impacting them, but most of us are carrying on a lot of stress. And it's interesting because, I mean, even just watching the news can massively stress a body out. So your body doesn't know the difference between an event actually happening to you and something in your imagination. It processes it the exact same way. So when you're watching TV and you're watching the news and there's all this distressing stuff going on, your body actually thinks you're in that war zone or you're fighting with that politician or whatever. And so you might not be yelling at the TV, but you can feel the amp up inside, right? Same with social media, same with all this stuff. And so we are inundated with stuff. And if you think back to, we live in the Sierra Mountains and they're gorgeous mountain ranges. And there are often times I'm like, could you imagine trying to get over this with a wagon
Mm.
and a horse? Like I am in awe of now that I live here,
Uh-huh.
not TV, not reading it in a book, living here. I'm like, how in the world did they do that? Right?
Yeah.
But they're moving, they're hauling, their body is releasing.
Hmm.
Most of us sit in front of a desk and we've got IMs coming in, emails coming in, phone calls coming in, angry people coming in,
Hmm.
the swing by your pastoral office, I've got a problem. We have so much coming at us all the time. We do not understand how inundated we are because it's now the new normal, but it's not normal. Our nervous system was not designed to live under all of this constant on stress.
You're mentioning cortisol and everything. That's a big old word I've been hearing lately. I've been seeing that everywhere.
I have a
And
ton of it in my body that I'm trying to get rid of
yeah,
from
all
years of
this
corporate
stress
America.
type of thing. And you know what's crazy about it too? I know I was up for this one position that I was going to be expanding in a thing about ministry, and I was still going to do the pastoral thing, but I was going to get some help and all of that. And they came along and they said, "Oh, you would be great and everything, but no, that would just be too much, right?" And then I was talking to someone else who had recently been in that position. And because I'm a smaller church pastor, so I'm used to dealing with a million different things. I don't have all this staff that does all these different things, right?
Jack of all trades, you do it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm leading worship, and then 5 minutes later, I'm doing the message. I mean, I'm just doing everything, which is not good, but still. And what she said to me, which was very interesting, she goes, well, they're not used to the fact, they don't understand that a lot of smaller church pastors, they just balance a lot of things and are able to discover a lot of things at once. And I was thinking, doesn't everybody do that? It's like you were mentioning earlier, I don't know if you mentioned it or it was before we started, or I think it was in the beginning of this, how you're gotten to the point now where you get to really focus on just the main area.
Yeah.
And I know I've been kind of wanting to do that,
Yeah.
but I feel that like so many people, I've literally like a waitress or a waiter in my case,
Right. Juggling all the plates.
juggling all these different trays and plates, and it's like, okay, it's not a matter of is there anything to do, it's a matter of what am I going to choose to do next.
Yeah.
And that focus time is very hard. So how does that play into this cortisol thing? What exactly is that for those who are not sure? And how do you say you're trying to get rid of it? So how do you get rid of it?
So cortisol is a stress hormone that gets released into your body.
Okay.
Okay. And so then it starts to stack up when it's not released. When we don't take the time to breathe in really deeply and relax our shoulders. Like most of us are walking around with our shoulders up to our ears, right? It's the rare person that's super relaxed. And so, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but like down on your calves, as you go from your calf down to your ankle,
Mm-hmm.
I have, instead, it's supposed to be kind of fleshy, squishy.
Okay.
I have like golf ball knots
Oh, wow. Okay.
in my legs.
That's not just muscle? We thought it's just calf.
Not, no, these are, yeah, I wish I had muscle. Nope, these
Yeah.
are cortisol pockets.
Okay.
Okay. And so it builds up, it stores in your body.
Mm.
And so part of the importance of lowering your blood pressure, it's diet, it's exercise, but it's also intentionally releasing the tension in your body.
Mm.
And so, and it seems so simple and so like, really, if it was that easy, wouldn't we all do it?
Right.
But it's like being present in the moment. Because as soon as you slow down to take a deep breath all the way into your belly,
Mm.
and on that exhale, allow your body to relax, you can hear you're flooded. We stay busy and run around so we don't have to pay it. We can run away from what's distressing us in our brain. We get
Yeah.
busy, we get distracted, we're doing all the things. Plus, we get to feel productive and like we're really taking care of stuff. And look at all these people I helped and looked at all the stuff that I did. And our poor body is carrying all of this, going, I need a break, dude.
Mm.
And so I call them micro resets, when we can, after an hour of being on a call, just 3 minutes, get up, kind of shake it out, jump, bounce on the balls of your feet, just shake off the tension, let it drain out of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Picture it just dissolving out into the wind. It helps you come back down and you'll feel it. When you do it, you will feel it. And the reason why is when we take in a breath deep down into our diaphragm,
Mm-hmm.
it presses up against our vagus nerve. And that's a cord that runs up our spinal cord to the bottom of our, I'll just say to the bottom of our brain. And then it's got all these networks that span out into our body.
Okay.
So when we breathe deep and press up against the vagus nerve, it sends a signal up to our brain, we're safe. Because if I can breathe, I don't have anything running after me, attacking me, threatening me, right? If I'm always amped up, I'm going, I'm going to have more shallow breath.
Okay. Fight or flight type of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we can just quickly reset our bodies by taking a deep breath in, releasing on the exhale. And when you do that a couple times, you'll feel that heightened charge. You'll just feel yourself settle into yourself. It's so powerful, so simple, and yet simple doesn't mean easy to do because we have to make time and we
Yeah.
have to make it a practice. And when we're all amped up, the last thing we want to do is sit and release. But
Mhm.
it's really the key to bringing our system back into a more resilient state.
Well, I can testify to the fact that what you're saying is exactly correct because recently I was reading some of that
Mhm.
and, I went on this long trip and the travel just about killed me. And my
It's tough.
nervous system was literally trying to get back. It was on such overload
Yes.
that if I would try to even nod off, my body would just jerk up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like protecting itself or doing something.
Yes. 100%.
Yeah, and it was like bizarre. I mean, I was so exhausted and I was
Yeah.
miserable.
Yes.
And I was reading this stuff about, oh, you can reset it by putting water on your face. You can reset it
Yes.
by, you need to breathe in slowly through your nose for about 4 seconds and then hold it for a few seconds and then breathe out for 4 to 5 seconds. And I'm thinking, what kind of stupid thing?
Yeah. It
You
sounds
know?
stupid. It
Yeah,
does.
and I'm thinking, but I'm seeing this on 3, 4, 5 different, type of sources. So I'm sitting there amped, just trying to get some type of sleep when I finally get to my bed and I'm not breathing right. Everything is just, and I start doing this, and I've done this several times now. And after a few minutes, my breathing's fine, and the body calms down.
Comes down.
And it's like, all right, this dumb thing actually works.
This dumb, simple thing actually works.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I don't even breathe through my nose. That's my problem. I usually breathe through my mouth and all of this.
We
And
all do, Jay.
yeah,
We all do it.
right. And so, but it's amazing how, and then there was times just the other day, I don't know if people have ever noticed this. If you start feeling nauseous and you start feeling, and if you take, and especially if you take long breaths out and everything, for some reason, your body feels better as you're doing
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And the just little fun fact, the reason why is because our system
Mhm.
is always scanning for safety danger. Your nervous system's number one job is survival.
Mm.
And so it's scanning for safety danger. Now, it can perceive a threat. Somebody comes into you and they're like, Jay, I can't believe you misquoted da 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 da, whatever. I'm making this up, right? But that charge, that energy coming at you, you're going to be like, whoa. Okay, so that's going to feel threatening. Now, if you grew up in a home where there's a lot of anger, screaming, shouting, you're going to be more susceptible to screaming, anger, and shouting. There's different things that trigger us, right?
Yeah.
But even though you are not physically in danger, your system is like, whoo. Okay, so then we get jacked up.
Hmm.
So this is happening to us all the time. Travel is one of the most dysregulating things you can do, which is fantastic because allows you to practice. Plus, you get
Yeah.
to see beautiful places.
Yeah.
But the effort of travel is hugely dysregulating. So when we are able to take in a breath and then have a longer exhale, it really amps us down.
Hmm.
And when we compare that with intentionally dropping the shoulders, relaxing the toes and fingers,
Hmm.
we really do. You can feel the difference in your body. It's so simple and so helpful.
I saw that when it's amazing how you don't relax. So simple thing like taking a blood pressure with a blood pressure cuff. And I was getting these really lousy readings,
Yeah.
right? And then I realized part of it I was doing it wrong because I have my arm straight out, tense. I almost have like almost like tensing the muscle a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm getting coaches like, no, just let your arm completely relax when you
Yeah.
do. I mean, have it at like art level, but have it like complete. It's hard to do that. It's really hard to do.
Percent
I mean, we're so used to, like you said,
tension.
with the shoulders, with everything, we're so used to doing. It's hard to
Yeah.
just go limp.
It is.
Right?
It is. And then the other thing they'll have you do usually is like picture your favorite place.
Hmm.
And the reason is your imagination doesn't know the difference.
Right.
So when you're walking on the beach or you're at your favorite moment, a birthday party, a wedding, your loved one, whatever, it brings that warm, mushy hormone in that settles you down. And so they have you think of a happy place while you're relaxing your body, and all of a sudden your readings go down.
That is a good one for that. Now I'm gonna give you a chance to psychoanalyze me here.
Okay.
Ready for this?
Oh dear.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. I've brought this
It's
up to
fun.
one other person before. This thing really shocked me. So a few years ago, I went to one of these Tony Robbins seminar things.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
and it was pretty good. I mean, I was gleaning a lot out of there. There's a lot of spiritual aspects in there, and
Yes.
he was doing the mindset training, state of mind type of thing. Okay, think of a time when you were really, upset, and before you know it, you're feeling that, right? Just like you're saying. Think of a time when something was really funny, and before you know it, you hear laughter all over the place, because people are right back there. Think of a time when you were depressed. Think of a time when everything was good and you felt safe and you were very happy. Okay? Now, on that particular memory, I was an only child, and so for some reason, I don't know why, I was picturing being about 6 or 7 years old, Christmas time, the tree up. We had this interesting fake tree that was white, sprayed with the fake snow. It was all aluminum. And the lights would shine different colors on it. And most of the gifts, I was the only kid, so all the gifts were for me. And all my family was there. And that was a time when I didn't have a care in the world, I mean, I was very fortunate. And I felt safe and I felt happy. So then he started teaching, okay, this is how quickly you can change your state. And he started jumping from scenario to scenario. Well, he kept taking us back to that happy moment. And I got to the point where that became very uncomfortable for me. It's like that should have been the good moment, right? And he kept taking us back there. And it was like, finally, I was like, oh, I don't want to be here. And I was trying to think to myself, why am I more comfortable in the angry state, in the frustrated state, in the whatever? And I finally figured out that the reason I didn't want to be there is because I knew I couldn't stay there. I mean, my parents were gone, they're gone. I mean, all these things have changed. And, I even had a dream once that kind of went along with it. Have you ever had those dreams where you realize you're dreaming?
Yes.
Okay, so I found myself at this park that I grew up with. I'm on my bike. I'm 12 years old.
Okay.
And I'm there, and I'm in this dream, and I think to myself, hey, I know I'm dreaming, but I'm 12 years old again. And I'm on my bike, and that means if I'm 12 years old, it's around this time. That means my house is still there because they had torn it down.
Yeah.
And that means my mom and dad are still there, And so even though I knew I was dreaming, I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, so then I think to myself, if that's the case, then I'm going to ride home right now. I'm going to ride home right now, and I'm going to see them, and I'm going to see the house and all that. And then you know what happened, right? The alarm clock goes off. It's like, oh, you got to be kidding. Well, it wakes me up. I'm trying to get back into this dream.
Right.
But so anyways, have at it now. I'm just weird and messed up. But what do you get?
No, I actually think you've self-identified.
Okay.
So it's now that is a happy space, but it's colored with grief because your parents are gone. But the memory itself
Right.
is really safe. And he's having you bop around because he wants you to notice when you're super activated, when you're underactivated, like when you're sad, you're underactivated, when you're angry, you're hyperactivated. And then what's resilient. And so he's getting you familiar because here's what's really interesting. We spend so much time in cognition. It's like we're walking around decapitated because all we acknowledge is our head. But the communication in our body, 20% of the brain runs the body, and 80% of the communication comes from the body to the brain. So up in the brain it's causing you to breathe, your heart's beating, all this stuff. It's running your body. And this is where you think. But all of your life experiences are stored in your body.
Yeah.
So when we can pay attention to what anger feels like, what happy feels like, what all the different emotions feel like, they're not stored up here, they're stored down here. And anger feels way more powerful than grief.
True.
And so when we're hurting, when there's loss, then that hurts. This is a beautiful memory, but I can't even go back and visit them because they're not here.
Right.
Now it's peppered a little bit. Not that you're consciously aware of that because you're thinking of that beautiful tree and the memories and the presents.
Sure.
But there's also a part of you that knows, oh, that's not real for me today.
Right.
And most of us are either in fight or flight. We're either fighting and aggressive or mad and angry, or we're trying to like bolt and get out of it and avoid the discomfort of the conflict. And so it just, that anger and frustration is a more powerful feeling than vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And so we tend to like those more powerful feelings more. Not that we like being in an angry state, but when we can't control something, what usually happens?
Right.
I mean, the airport is the best place to go to watch people and how they cope and adapt.
Man.
How many people are screaming and yelling when they don't get their way?
Yeah, I saw that recently. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that, and it's so good. Now, for those of you who are listening, and especially I want to give you just a couple minutes as we're finishing up here, Kristy, to highlight what it is you do as far as what you offer. I know you do a lot of this coaching and counseling and all these different things. And so I think we've seen a perfect example right now as we've talked through some of this, because you're an extremely good listener, by the way, and then respond very well on things. So what are the main things that you're doing if somebody is really making a connection with you right now and they're thinking, hey, you know what, I might really benefit from talking with her? Kind of tell us a little bit more about what you offer for people.
Yeah, absolutely. So the main thing that I offer right now is one-on-one coaching, and I have different packages depending on the individual's needs, desires, what they want to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way is to just reach out to me, schedule time. I do a free consultation. There is no obligation because I absolutely believe if I can help you in one conversation and that helps you get unstuck and you're fine, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes, if we really want to learn about our nervous system and have a different experience in our life, it's a different journey. But different people want different things. And so I do one-on-one coaching. I am co-hosting a retreat in September for women to be able to kind of move beyond their fears and start taking steps for, getting unstuck from what's keeping them in survival mode and really moving more in the direction that they want their life to go. So if you'd like more information on that, just reach out to me. I'm happy to share more about that as well.
So the best ways to reach out to you are how?
You can find me on Facebook, or you can just email me at Kristy, Kristy, at Deys, Deys coaching.com.
Nice. Now, for those of you who are listening out here, she just talked about fear right now. And the fear might be, oh, well, I don't know. Let's shift this, right? How about let's replace the fear of the possible unknown of changing a little bit with the fear of it never changing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, is it okay that what you're going through right now and the fears that you're having and that are paralyzing you or stuck, is it okay that that's the rest of your life? What if a conversation, like you mentioned, she's not selling timeshares here, guys. So you're going to have a conversation. It's not going to be a pressure thing.
No pressure.
Don't allow the fear of the unknown to make you not have a conversation that could change your life. That's what I would tell you. So definitely at least have that first conversation at minimum, because it certainly is going to do nothing but hopefully help you, I'm sure. And yeah, so I really want to encourage, and I would say that it's very valuable. Too many times we're too comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Where we just won't move out of it. So, well, any last thing you'd like to say? I'm going to leave it wide open for you, Kristy. Whatever the Lord is leading, maybe there's somebody out there right now and they are just struggling. They just don't have the peace. I'm going to let God just put in your head and imagine who might be listening and then give a last final message to them.
Wow. Thank you. Well, I really appreciate this time to visit with you. My heart's been touched. I had to pull the tissue a few times because I was just so touched by what you were sharing. So thank you for this opportunity. I really liked how you phrased the last question. What's, I'm going to word it a little differently.
Sure.
What's it costing you to stay in fear?
Mm,
Because there is so much more on the other side. But having gone through childhood abuse, having gone through the loss of a relationship, having gone through the stress of performing in corporate America, I know how hard it is to make these changes, but I'm living proof that change is possible. And it doesn't have to be, um, I'm just going to kind of say forced or hard or difficult. The, the way we actually change is when we're witnessed, when we're seen, and when we're given the tools to support ourselves
mm,
and the ripple effect from there. When we learn about our nervous system, it changed my life, Jay, and it changed the lives of the people I interact with because I show up so differently now because I'm not in my autopilot familiar survival instincts.
mm.
I'm able to support myself. I'm able to create inner security and safety, and I'm able to hold space for people. And that's possible for you too.
Mm. I love what you're bringing out here, and I think it's very obvious, Kristy, from those who are listening to you. You've gone through some things as you've mentioned, but the spirit that you have now that God's put through you that comes through obviously is way different than anything that you're describing. So I think that it's important for a person to take a look at that and say, wow, here's someone who's saying they've gone through stuff and yet look at them now. That can also happen. That kind of joy and peace can also happen in your life. It's not over for you if you're struggling out there like that. The very fact that you're still alive and breathing and that God's given you another day is so that
Yes.
not only he can take you through it, but then there's going to be other lives that you can then affect as well. So thank you again. We're going to stay in touch. I know we're going to do some stuff in the future, I'm sure. And
I'm
I'm really
excited.
hoping I'm going to be posting, if you can send me actually those exact links or if you have those links.
Sure. Happy to do that.
Yeah, and we'll get that all posted onto the description of this episode for whatever platform you're watching. Make sure you share it with other people as well so that they can be blessed by it as well. And subscribe, please, on whatever platform you're looking so you don't miss any episodes. This has been the Audacious Faith Podcast. Yes, you were put on this earth to do more than just exist. So it's time to step into that because God has a plan and he's going to do it. So until next time, God bless each one of you, and we'll see you then.